Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. It's your boy Jean, spelled like Jean.
And it is your boy, John with the silent H. Welcome to episode number 53 of the Work for Change podcast. We are very happy to have you here for our second year.
Yeah, season 2, episode 1. And now that we're getting a wider audience, I figured that we need to become more inclusive for everyone.
Okay.
So, bienvenidos. Hola y bienvenidos al Work for Change podcast.
Jean's been working on his French, so...
Yeah. Just wanted to get down to my roots.
Yep.
Am I right?
Am I right? Okay, so today I had something that kind of popped into my head that I thought would be interesting to talk about. So that is transparency on social media. And so the reason that this kind of popped into my head, there's a couple things that we'll get into. So today I was editing my video of 20.4. So for you guys that don't do CrossFit, I apologize. But
if they don't do CrossFit, they probably know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's a workout that has box jumps or step ups, clean and jerks, and then it ends up with pistols, right? Pistol squats are single leg squats, and that's something that I cannot do. Now, a little bit of a backstory. So the reason that pistol squats for me are so difficult is because when I was heavier, and I guess this is kind of speculation. I can't say 100% this is why my left ankle mobility is so bad, right? But when I was younger and when I was heavier, I used to skateboard to get around. That's how I got everywhere. And the way I skate is I skate goofy. So I skate with my right foot on the board and then I push with my left foot. Right? And then my right foot will be in front and my left foot will be in back. And so my left foot would take a lot of damage. So, one, it's just so much weight and force, pushing yourself on the ground. Because I would skate miles, right, a day to get places and stuff like that. But then on top of that, when I'd fall and stuff like that, that was the ankle that would get hurt. Never anything super bad, but I think a lot of it was trauma that just kind of added on. And so for me, I have really, really bad ankle mobility in both ankles. Like, they're both not good, but my left ankle is even worse. So when I heard that there were going to be pistols, this is something that I kind of knew was going to happen at some point. Like, I knew they were going to come up in the open at some point. At least I felt like that, right? And it's honestly been, since I started, I was afraid that they would come up. And then, so they finally showed up. They finally showed up in this workout. And when I heard it, I was like, dang. Okay, so this is going to be rough. And so in the workout, you end up doing a good amount of work, but then you get to the pistols. You have to do 30 of them before you can move on. And I ended up, I did the workout. I ended up only being able to do 3 pistols. And I was actually, it was a 20-minute workout, 20-minute cap. And I was already to the pistols before the 10-minute mark, right? So I had basically 10 minutes to work on 30 pistols. And I actually ended up just stopping the workout at about 18 minutes just because I had failed a bunch of pistols, and I was like, I'm not trying to do these and hurt my knee because I'm trying so hard to get this pistol. And I was like, I'm comfortable. I feel like I really tried and did what I could to get there. But it wasn't going to happen. So I wasn't going to try and force it. And so, the thing is, the reason I'm telling all of this is because I filmed a video, and I've kind of made it a goal of mine for every year in the open. I always film a video of the workouts, right? And it's just, for me, it genuinely is fun. It's something I don't film my workouts very much anymore. And so people, I think, enjoy watching them. I think the majority of people, because those videos will regularly, this is on my second channel that just hit 25,000 subscribers, which is cool. But they, most of my videos that I post on there, because I'm not the most frequent with posting on there, they'll get from 5 to maybe 10,000, right, views per video, which is pretty good. And these videos with the open will get over 30,000. So it's people that don't watch my videos are watching these, right? And I think that it's people that are watching them because they're like, oh, maybe I can beat him. And I want to see what an okay score is, because everyone sees the elite people doing these crazy things, which is awesome. But it's okay, I want to watch someone that is going to be where I'm going to end up. What are they doing? What worked for them? What didn't work for them, right? So I think that that's what happens a lot with those videos. But I digress. So I really like filming them. And I feel like I'm really part of the community because CrossFit is something that I truly still enjoy so much. And again, I don't share it as much, especially on my main channel. So I really do like making the videos. But this one, so earlier in the week, I kind of tweaked my back on Wednesday. And so normally I would do the workouts Friday morning so I can get the video up as soon as possible. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I just didn't want to. I wanted to wait a little bit longer before I did the workout. So I knew I was going to wait until Monday. So I filmed your video, filmed John doing the workout. And he did pretty good. He crushed it. He got to the 225 bar, and yeah, he did a really, really good job.
Almost
got to the 275 bar, right?
11 pistols shy.
Yeah, and so he did really well. And like this workout, most of the time we can kind of look at workouts and be like, you're probably gonna beat me in this one or whatever. And that one, I was like, he's definitely gonna beat me. So I filmed him doing the workout, and I wasn't sure if I was going to film myself because I got the video up, and we were able to give tips and stuff like that. But then I asked, and a lot of people were like, no, we want to see it. And I mean, I didn't have an issue. It wasn't like I was like, oh, maybe they if they don't ask, I don't have to show them how bad this workout's going to be.
Yeah.
Because I was honestly kind of happy that people were like still wanting to see how I did, right? So I filmed the video, and I mean, you could go on the channel. It's John Glaude if you search it on YouTube, and the video's up, right? So there a lot of the video is me failing pistol squats and really, really struggling with them. And I said at the end of the video, like, I feel like a lot more people might think that this video is harder for me to make than it really is, because I'm pretty transparent on social media. I don't mind sharing stuff, but I think there are a lot of people, and with social media, like there's a lot of people that share the highlights and they don't like to share the struggles. Now, I want to talk about the benefits of sharing the struggles, but also there are some detriments to that as well. So what I've found, especially with like the workout stuff, is the benefits of sharing the struggles is like it's pretty obvious, right? You're helping people that might be struggling with the same thing, right? So I'm sure there's a lot of people that struggled with pistols that were really bummed about this workout. At least I hope, personally, maybe that they feel the same way I did. And so I think that sharing that, like, it can help someone out there that might be like, man, like I was really excited about the open, I was doing really well, and then this workout came and it kind of, punched me right in the gut, and I feel like I've wasted my time. You can still enjoy the workouts and understand, like, I think it's really important. One of the biggest things, I bring up this philosophy quite a bit, like stoicism is one of my favorite things, is because one of the tenets of stoicism, I don't think it's an actual tenet, but something they talk about a lot, because there are actual tenets, but like something that they talk about a lot is expectation, and like making sure your expectation isn't too high. And when I talk about this, some people get kind of upset about it, because they're like, well, if you don't have any expectations, then you're just like, if like you don't have any standards, or you don't have, and that's not, when I think of it, I don't think of it like that. I think of expectation as a lot of times we put too high of expectations on things, and then when things aren't met, we get upset, right? So like when you have a super high expectation for a workout, and I mean, it's different for everybody. Like if you're a games level athlete and you're trying to make it to the games from the open, you kind of have to have high expectations and be like, I need to do well to make it, right? But for me, there's no reason to have a super high expectation. And I think that I've learned a lot. This is really going back in the day, but growing up, my mom dated a few guys, and both of them had this tendency to make promises that they didn't intend on keeping. I'm not sure. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually a big reason why I got this tattoo, the commitment tattoo, because I really think like if you're going to say something, you should follow through, right? But I remember growing up, I would get these super high expectations for stuff. Like one guy, I'm not going to use any names, but one guy promised me like a certain gift for Christmas, and basically said like, you're going to get it. So I was like super stoked, right? This kid, like it was a scooter or something like that, motorized scooter. And I was like super excited about it. And I was like, this is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to have it. Like I'm gonna have so much fun, cause again, like growing up, we didn't have much stuff. So like whenever my mom only dated a couple guys, but like when they would come in, like they, it was just an extra income. It's not like they were ever super ballers or anything like that, but it was like, oh, another adult in the family that can, get dinner or whatever it might be. And so he made that promise. I just remember being devastated because Christmas came, and I could tell a couple days before he was trying to like prepare me for the fact that it wasn't going to happen. And I just remember being like, I was super young, maybe 11 or 12 or something like that, just being like, why did you even say anything? Like, why would you even do that to me? Right? Like, why would you like make my expectations so high? So I think, and like, honestly, that has stuck with me. I mean, I still remember that, right?
Yeah.
And that stuck with me. And I mean, I got it, like, again, the big reason that this is the first tattoo I got on my forearm. It says commitment, and it's something that is very, very important to me. So I think expectation has been something that I've really have for a long time tried to do better at reining in. And so with this workout, like, I truly, and I even said it in the video, like, I was like, I know that these pistols are going to be hard, and I truly think that I might be able to get one on my right foot, and that's it. And I was like, I know that sounds defeatist, but it's like, it's managing my expectations and being like, that's realistically what can happen. And a lot of times, like, I do this all the time with the open workouts. I'm like, oh, I might get here, and then I do a lot better. And I'm like, oh, cool, that was great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like doing that, because then if you have these high expectations all the time, and say you maybe just barely meet it or you don't meet it, now you're upset, when in reality, if you would have maybe just had a little bit less of an expectation, you wouldn't have been as upset. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking about expectations that are based in reality.
Yeah,
also,
I'm really rambling.
How much coffee have you had? Holy moly.
I haven't
that
had
was
that.
like 7 minutes of just like non-stop, no breathing going there. And I was like, I'll interject eventually, but right now you were like,
I kept looking at you. I was like, you're gonna interrupt me at any point?
no,
or
I'm
am I
not gonna interrupt you.
going?
You just kept going.
This has been something that's been on
I was
my
like,
mind.
holy moly, are you like filming a YouTube video right
Yeah,
now?
I
And you're
know,
trying
right?
to get as much as you can in 10 minutes?
10 minutes? Okay, no, let's put the ad in.
Yeah.
No, but I know I haven't had that much coffee today. I had some before the workout, and then
I was just like, literally just like, I'm going to let him go.
And then
like,
I had some when I was editing the video at the coffee shop. But I mean, that was hours ago now. Yeah. It's just been something that's been on my mind. It's been in my head. Yeah, I've been like thinking about.
And you're letting it all out.
Yeah, I'm letting it
you
all
have
out.
A backpack full of stuff that you didn't
have
organize,
a podcast, okay?
And you just like,
it's
instead of being like, here's my binder, here's my notebook.
You just dumped it out. So when I was born. But so like it's managing expectation for me.
Manage expectations based in reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a like when you are part of the scientific method, we all learn it, is to create a hypotenuse. Like, what do you think is going to happen by doing this test?
Is it hypotenuse or hypothesis? What's hypotenuse?
That's like for triangles.
You
that
idiot.
Was, yeah, I know that was stupid.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, I brought geometry into science. How dare I? Sorry about that. Your hypothesis.
Fine. That was acute, anyways.
Yeah. So you have an hypothesis that you make like I think this is going to happen by doing this. Mm-hmm. But it's not a like I think that this will turn green in 3 days. It's like based on the evidence of this doing this, I believe that this will happen. And so it's like it's a scientifically or it's like an educated guess essentially. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, what is your expectation hypothesis? Like, what is your educated, based on this, what do I think is going to happen?
And that's something that I found, like, in CrossFit, a lot of people don't have, are not good at it. They're like, I'm going to get here. I'm like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Why do you expect that to happen?
Well, we had someone who grossly overestimates their skill. And they just straight up had a tantrum, like on like 20.2.
Oh, yeah.
And just like quit the workout midway through. It was just like, yeah.
And it was somebody that
no one else thought you were going to do that.
It's someone that's notoriously a rep shaver. And we were like, so what happens when you have a judge that's watching everything you do? They're not going to let, when you're doing a workout, like it's fine if you're doing a workout, you're doing wall balls and air balls and you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if it's like, you're doing pull-ups and it's 15 and you do 12 every time.
Yeah.
It's like in the open, that's not a good thing. Okay.
Or if your chest to bars are
chest close to bar.
Yeah, you'll get called out.
You're going to get called out in the open, or your toes to bar, it's 1 foot hitting. Yeah. So the whole thing I was talking about, I wasn't even actually talking about expectation, but it was about like being transparent on social media. So me putting that out there, I think was a good thing. I think that it was good that I shared that. And it hopefully is able to help people out or whatever. And even if it's just, people find it funny that I keep failing pistols, that's fine. That's fine with me too.
Okay, so let me ask you. Okay. This is where you were kind of wanting to go when we were talking before. Let's list out what are the cons of transparency.
Yeah, so the cons
in your opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion,
your
experience. I would say it's just you end up I think there is such thing as oversharing on social media. I think.
I would 100% agree.
And I think that I definitely am. I do share a lot. I like to do the Q&As and like share stuff about me, but I try and, I share stuff, but at the same time, I'm not sharing everything. And I mean, I'm the person that I've shared quite a bit, on the podcast, like with everything that we do, there's so many places for me to share stuff. Right. So it's I'm definitely not a mysterious person by any means, but there are certain things that I have been more mysterious with, or not as forthcoming, or and not in like a bad way, but it's like, I'm not comfortable sharing those things. There's not many, like really. But one thing, and we kind of talked about it a little bit on a podcast, I think like 2 podcasts ago, is relationships. So for me, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm coming to terms with, maybe not wanting to share as much. And this is coming from me at a point in my life where I am single, and seeing what it's been like for me post breakup, the questions that people are asking, and it's not even just questions that people are asking, it's questions, and like they feel like they deserve an answer. And it's easy as the person that's getting asked a question to be like, I can't believe they think they should know this stuff. You know what I mean? Oh, they're so annoying. But I try and like understanding why they feel that way. Right.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why a lot of people might feel the way that they do is because I have been pretty open about my relationships and sharing who I'm with. And it's not because I think a little bit of a call out, but I think that there are some people that use relationships as a way to get more clicks and more views, and use it as a way to bolster up their social media. I think that's very dangerous. Like truly, I think that's very dangerous, because then your relationship becomes based on that. Like,
but is there a point where that is okay? Like there are whole channels that exist where it's like, I think it's their dynamic. It's their relationship.
Everybody's
it's like family vloggers, family.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like family vloggers. If you have kids, I think that could be a whole nother podcast. But like, if you have someone in the video that, like, there's that really big YouTube channel right now. What's the family name? They're huge family vloggers, and they're going through a lot. Like the guy was like found to be cheating on his wife or whatever. What's the name of that family? The Ace family. There we go. So they have had this huge scandal. Well, they're gigantic. They get millions of views every video, right?
I also don't watch family vloggers.
Yeah, so. I don't either. It's one of my guilty pleasures is watching drama videos. I hate it. I hate that I do it, and I actually have stopped quite a bit recently. But for a while there, I would watch like Drama Alert, which is like the worst.
It's specifically YouTube drama.
Yeah,
you're
YouTube.
Not just like it's not like
it's YouTube.
Not
drama.
like what the Kardashians are doing.
No. I could care less about that. But YouTube, it's like, I don't know, I just feel connected to it, so it's like I feel more connected to that stuff, but so they have this whole channel that's based on their family. They have 2 kids, one's a little bit older and then one's like a baby, right? And their whole channel is based on them and their kids, and their kids have never been able to give consent about being in these videos. So I think that's a slippery slope. And I think YouTube is doing some stuff to maybe mitigate that and be like, if you have kids in your videos, like they might not be putting as many ads on stuff. Like I know there's been some recent stuff going on with that. So I think that with family stuff, like it's just like I said, it's a slippery slope. Like I don't have the answer, because I think it's a very there's
because
a lot
there are people who are like, we were just a couple and then we had a kid. But these people have been following us for 5 years, so it's like they want to know our kid. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely
there's absolutely and there's like it's one thing to have your kid in the video every once in a while, but like when it becomes every thumbnail, every title, it's like, and you can see views on channels, right? Like when you see, like if it's just the mom and dad, it's like the video gets this many views, and then the kids in it, it's like 30,000 times more, right? Yeah. So it's dangerous because people see that. Like if you're the parent and you see that, oh, if I have my kid in it, it's going to get 3 times as many views, which means 3 times as much money. Yeah. Like most people are going to be like, cool. Yeah. So that's something that I really, really like about Casey Neistat that he's done recently, is he's stopped putting his daughter in the videos. And I think even his like newborn, I don't think he's even shown at all. And so like he'll have his daughter, but it'll only be like the back of her head and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool. Like I personally just think that's cool.
And he had to learn that.
Yeah, he learned that through exactly.
Yeah, because he was like, he would openly admit like, I'm running out of content, but I get way more views when my daughter Francine's in it. So here she is, like, and then he got to a point where he's like, I don't want that to be the legacy that she has, And
it's, because it's like, if you think about it, it's not fair. Like, could you imagine when we were kids, I mean, Mom never would have done that, but like, if there were these videos of us getting our butt wiped and like, you know what I mean? Like our first, whatever, like the really intimate thing that now millions of people have seen. Like that's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
So we really went off topic there, but like, I think that, sharing, there's like a certain, like I get it. And I mean, I'm in this situation. Like the reason I share it, it's not because I'm trying to get clout, right? That's like the word now, or I'm trying to like use it as a thing to bolster up my career. It's because I'm excited and I like to share things with the people that are there, like I really do have some sort of connection with my followers. And I don't even like using that word, like my supporters or whatever you want to say, like the people that do follow along my journey. Like people are excited when something good happens to me. You know what I mean? And so like whenever I do share, and again, this is like mainly about relationships, whenever I do share that maybe I'm in a new one or I'm, in one just in general, people are normally pretty excited, right? And then people I think get a little too excited. And then they start thinking you're going to get married, like all these things, like they start living shipping vicariously through you, right?
They ship you.
Yeah, they ship you, and then they live like, I think that's what happens. And then so when a breakup happens, which sucks, and trust me, it's not fun, but when that happens, people are almost feel like a piece of them has been torn apart, right? And so then they get upset, and then you're dealing with people that are mad that are now commenting and saying really nasty things. And that is 100% been the hardest part of my most recent breakup. And because, I mean, me and my ex, like we've been able to talk and communicate and like we are good. But the hardest part, especially right after, was the amount of people saying just really mean things. And like, I don't like to talk about how social media can be hard, but like there are things that happen that are not fun. And that was not fun. Being like people speculating and like messaging me saying like, oh, someone cheated, or like legit abuse stuff. That one didn't happen much, but it was like crazy stuff. And I was just like, where are you getting this from?
Yeah.
And then like people going back to old videos and being like, I saw it here and here. And it's like, calm down, you know? And so that is probably for me has been the most negative thing with being transparent. And I mean, I'm not even someone that I don't share that much of my relationships. Like if I'm with like my girlfriend, I usually don't like do a bunch of stories and like show us together all the time. Like I know that I'm on my phone quite a bit. So like if we're together, I try not to be on it too much. That's something that I still need to work on. And that's definitely one of my more like a bigger downfall that I have. But yeah, I'm curious. Like, so you heard my thing, and this is coming from like influencer person, right? I freaking hate that word. But it's coming from someone that has a big following that people are very invested in. What about like you? So, cause you and Sam have shared pretty much your whole journey from dating
I
to
slid in the DMs.
Yeah.
So
from
it's social media from the birth.
Exactly. So like from dating to marriage and honeymoon and all that stuff. So like, what's that? What's that been like for you?
Like social media can be very bad, but it can also be very good. I was reading a book and then quit because I just didn't really care that much about it, but it was called Digital Minimalism. And it's
you're like, I don't like this. I want to be on my phone. Okay.
it was just like, I don't know. There's something like how to maximize every minute for absolute efficiency.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't, like, there are people who like
love that stuff. Yeah.
And they are the entrepreneurs in the world and they crush it. Like our friend Ben from Wad Prep. That is how his mind works.
Yeah.
And I respect him so much for that. That is not how my mind works. And like trying to fit into that gear and groove just doesn't work for me. But there is an element of social media is the ultimate comparison game. That's all it is. Just on display. It is comparison on display because most people do not post their failures or their bad pics or their whatever.
Well, and like that's why people were so like, what happened? Because we, again, nothing crazy, but it's like we weren't always happy. That's why we ended things.
Yeah. And the people who do post really bad pictures, like under the chin.
It's on purpose.
Or people think, does that person kind of know what they, you know what I mean? It's like this, like, are they fully there? You know, like there's like this kind of like, what's going on there? Why would you, and when there's like, when it doesn't seem like there's any like self-awareness within that.
Yeah.
And so I think there is an element of like, of course we want to present our best selves. That is, we do that every day when we wake up and we get ready and we go to work or we whatever, like we're trying to present a version of ourselves that we believe is the best in that capacity, whatever. If you're having a bad day, you're at least trying to be somewhat the best in that moment.
Like, I mean, a good, this just came to my mind, but a good way to kind of explain it is like social media is a huge office. Because like when you go into the like say you work at a big office space,
or a huge high school,
exactly,
high school
right?
Even, like those were like the most vulnerable days of your lives.
Exactly,
you
but
know,
like you go into the office, you put on your suit and tie, and you make sure your hair is combed. You look nice. You're not going in flip flops and long socks and like haven't done your hair, or
unless that is, you know, you work at some like beachfront place, and then you're like, oh, look how beachfront I am, and or you know what I mean, like it's all these like we have this vision of what we want people to see in us, and social media is the ultimate editing tool to allow us to become that person. So like recently we had some, and here's one of the cons to social media. It's also a pro, but we're not there yet. A con to being transparent is that people kind of do, they get to know enough of you for them to feel like they know you. But it's, you know, it's 10-20% of who you are. It's 10-20% of your thoughts.
Seriously.
You know? 20% is a very generous number too. For most people, it's like the 10%, the 5%.
Well, and you think like, even if you do make a post that's very vulnerable and you share something, it's like that's one post in every, maybe max 10?
Yeah.
You know, probably every 100?
And you still edited it.
Exactly.
So we had someone who kind of like was calling us out, and like I'm very vocal about my faith. We're very vocal about our faith, and so we had someone who follows both of us call us out on something that they legitimately were like, oh, well, I know you guys, and I feel like you guys are wrong in this area, so I'm going to call you out. But it was over comments on Instagram. And so it was kind of like, my initial reply is like, who are you? And then they're like, oh, very interesting question, blah, 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 but here's what the Bible says, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you missed it. Like, I don't know you. If you want to correct someone, you do it in the context of relationship, sitting down one-on-one saying, hey, here's where I think you're kind of off. What you did is just in front of everyone, if you want to use the office analogy, like you stood on a desk and you went, this person's wrong. Here's why. And then when people don't respond in the, like, I was kind of like, okay, you're being ridiculous. And they were like, oh, of course I'm going to be persecuted because the truth is unpopular. And it's like, no, it's because the way you did it, it's not right. Like there's a way to do this. There's a way to approach this. So I think that Sam and I, we do not have a huge influence based on our fitness and our eating habits by any means. I'm more becoming known because of my terrible eating habits than I am as an advice column. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it's like...
It's the yin and yang on this podcast.
100%.
Jean will tell you eat Taco Bell, and I'll be like, probably not the best idea.
Yeah. And so we have like... We've never even put that out there as as who we are. But then we just... I don't know. It's just a space that we're in.
Do you think it's hard... Like, do you ever get frustrated with the fact of like what I am on social media, and do you feel like people start following you expecting that, and then they realize that's not what they're gonna get? Like, have you ever...
No, because I think that I think the unfollow button is so underused. You know, like honestly, like
my favorite is when people tell me they're gonna unfollow. That makes me laugh.
Yeah, and
then I am unfollowing you. It's like, okay.
And then you look and it's like it still says follow back. Like, you didn't unfollow me. You just wanted attention. And that's what that's the downsides that it can be, is that it's all just attention seeking. And that's why like things are getting like insane. Like the Bird Box challenge, the Tide Pod challenge, this challenge, that challenge, this hashtag, this. It's all because we are desperately craving attention. We are desperately craving validation that we are okay, that people are in the same boat as us, that people can accept us. And so when you have this like, oh, if I post a crazy video in my town of 15,000, it can potentially go and get millions of views. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be the person who breaks into Target at night and builds a fort and lives inside of this fort for as long as I can until I get caught. That's a great idea because I might get millions of views, but it's like why? Like why?
Well, and a lot of people I think have started to make, because we're talking about people aren't super transparent on social media. I think some people have started to make it their thing to be overly transparent, to where it's like, to get attention, I'm going to share everything that's going on. And I think that that's dangerous as well, because I don't know. For me personally, like the most annoying thing with social media is just everyone sharing their opinions about your life. So if you're like being overly transparent, now you have all of these opinions on things in your life that like normally you wouldn't have opinions on, and I think that that's pretty dangerous too. Or people just using, like, I think that even the people that are maybe overly transparent and like oversharing, they're still not sharing everything. And so like they're making it their niche to be, oh, I'm super woke and I'm super transparent, I'm going to share everything. But even then it's like, you're not sharing actually everything.
Yeah.
You're not sharing maybe how mentally this is affecting you or whatever that might be. Because I mean, let's be real, like anxiety and stuff like is through the roof right now.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that, and I know that people get annoyed when they hear this, but like a big part of it is social media, because it's, as silly as it sounds, like the fear of moving out of missing out is a big thing. Like everyone sees, these videos of like, Halloween was a good one, right? Everyone's looks awesome in their costume because everyone's editing those pictures, right? Everyone's going to the sickest parties. Everyone, is eating as much candy as they want. They're still shredded. That's a big thing that you see with fitness. And so then everyone's like comparing themselves to them, and then they feel anxious because maybe they're not going out. Maybe they weren't invited anywhere. Maybe they can't eat a bunch of candy. Maybe they're just starting their journey and, they've decided that they're going to try and not eat a bunch of Halloween candy, and they see everyone else posting how much candy they ate or whatever. I know that's simple or silly, but that's something that gets on my nerves, is like when people, this is another tangent, but when people that maybe have been on their journey for a while, that have like lost a lot of weight, or like for me, I can eat a few pieces of candy, it's fine. But there was a year on Halloween where I was like, I am not going to have any candy because I was just starting to lose weight. Or it was like, I had just lost like 100 pounds or something like that. And I was like, I just don't trust myself yet. And so I didn't. And I think it was before I had like a big following, so I didn't even post about it. But I could see myself posting that now, and people freaking out and being like, oh my gosh, you should, like, don't do that. That's wrong. And then I'd feel bad about not having candy. Like there's always going to be someone expressing their opinion on how you're wrong with anything that you do.
And I think another thing, I've had this like rant against social media so many times that but like I think another aspect is social media is the land of intention. I'm gonna do this. 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 I'm gonna do blah blah. But it's not like you don't see follow through that often. Like how many? Sorry to put everyone on blast, but like how many weight loss Instagrams are started that don't see it to the end?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and intentions feel good. Like your brain, when you set goals, gives you the same dopamine rush as when you complete goals. So we get this like, we love setting these goals or creating these, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I do it all the time, like.
You definitely do that.
I do. And I know it. And
I do too. I'm not going to say I'm that, but. Yeah.
But we set these goals and then we don't follow through with them, but we've already posted on Instagram that we're going to do this goal, which is enough to make however many people read that feel bad about themselves because they don't have that goal, even though you're in the same spot because you didn't follow through. And so I think that's another thing, is that we look at other people's goals and we compare them to our current actions, even though that person hasn't even finished.
Yeah, they're like, that's such a good point, man. That's such a good point. Like, we see people having a goal and we think in our heads they're definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible because I don't. It's like, dude, it's a goal for them because they aren't doing it.
Yeah.
And like the
need for, like, when you said like, oh, I'm not, I didn't have a huge Instagram, but if I said I wasn't going to have candy, it's like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
To anyone that you're going to have candy or not have candy? Like, just don't put it out there. Or don't compare yourself to someone else. Like, think about it. Oh, I got mad because that person didn't have candy. Like, if you think about that in real life, it's like, dude, get a life. Like, who cares? Like,
yeah. So for me, this is like, not to cut you off. Did you have another point that you wanted to make?
Yeah, I also wanted to say that if you are going to have candies, Snickers are the best.
I'm glad I cut you off then. Snickers are very good.
I wasn't going to say that.
My favorite candy is Take 5. I think they might. Did they
Take 5?
Yeah.
Are you 75 years old?
Yeah. Yes. We've already like, but the pretzels with the chocolate and the sweet and salty, it's so good. Okay, so I wanted to. So for me, like talking about all this stuff with like goals and stuff. So this, and we've been kind of dumping on social media, and that's not what I ever want to do because it's my freaking job, right? Like, so I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
Because I honestly get annoyed when I hear people honestly like.
That's what I was saying. I was like, we've done this.
And so like
we've had this conversation.
Again, there are so many positives, and something that I did that we shared in, I think it was the last podcast, was the W4C Finish Strong, right? The hashtag. And I'm very happy to announce that I'm still reading, and actually just finished the book that I've been reading called How Happiness Happens. It's very good. But I posted on my story the day the podcast came out, right? So last week, I think, I posted on my story that I was what we were doing and why we were doing it. And I went in depth about why reading is always my thing, right? Like why that's always the thing that I'm like, I want to do better at. And a big part of it is because I was in special education growing up. I really struggled with feeling smart and feeling like I was able to even, like, I always felt like a fraud trying, like, and I still struggle with this, like, feeling like a fraud saying I'm going to read because I feel like a lot of times I don't really hold on to the knowledge very well. I feel like I read a book and then it's like I forgot everything that happened in it, right? And so I shared all of this stuff that's been going through my head and why I always want to try and get better at reading or read more books. And it was really cool because a lot of the people were actually very supportive of it. Like there was no negativity because of it, which was nice. But like people were like, oh, you know what? My husband actually is dyslexic, or, you know, my son or daughter was in special ed their whole life and, you know, they feel the same way or whatever. Like there was a lot of people that really felt like they connected with it a lot. And I wasn't it wasn't a post to get, like, to seek validation or for people to, like, I wasn't even sure if people would really relate to it. Like I wasn't trying to be #relatable or anything like that. Like I was just trying to share why I was doing this thing, you know, because I knew I would be posting on my story pretty frequently, you know, that the #finish strong or whatever, W4C finish strong. So I knew people would be like, what is this? You know what I mean? So I wanted to explain why I was doing it. And a lot of people were it was just really cool. They were super supportive. But one of the things that was funny was, like you were saying, people, like, they saw that it was my goal, and, like, in their head, I think they thought I knew more than I did, because then they're asking for, like, tips on how to start reading, or, like, whatever it was, right? Like, tips on that thing, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's why I'm posting this, is because, like, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get better at reading. I'm trying to, you know what I mean? Like, do all of these things. So it was just funny that you brought that up, because I was like, that was getting that with this thing that I was very much so a beginner at, and it's like, it was just funny.
I don't think I'm doing very well with W4C Finish Strong.
I know you're not.
But it's like, I don't care enough about the thing that I said I was going to do. Like, so I think I might just need to find a new goal. Like, I feel like the thing I picked, which was to, like, track my macros more frequently, is like, I just don't care enough about it.
Have you tracked a full day yet?
No. I just, like, that's the thing.
To be fair, that's a lot more of a commitment than me reading, because me reading takes, 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
And tracking is all day. You have to track all day.
Yeah, and everything I do, and like going to, like, a family dinner tonight is like,
well, it's hard, man. It's not. It's no joke.
And it's like, for me, it's like, it's great. It's great for people who have a reputation, like, to do fitness. Mm-hmm. It's a great thing for them. Like, Like if you are preaching something that you aren't doing yourself, like that sucks.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
You're a cockahead.
It's great for someone who needs to take drastic measures in their health. You know what I mean? Like they are going to die, or they are too skinny, or whatever. Like great for you. You need to start gaining muscle, losing weight, whatever. But
even for you, man, like we talked about this before, like you already tracked, and that's how you lost the bulk of your weight.
Yeah.
So I think that it's harder for you, and it would be for me too. I'm not gonna sit here and say, like, if I made that a goal of mine, I guarantee I'd be falling off quite frequently, because I hate tracking now because of how much I did it. But the reason that I'm able to stay relatively lean is because I learned a lot by tracking.
Yeah.
And I think the reason, this is just me speculating, but I think one of the reasons, I think there's quite a few, but I think one of the reasons why it's hard for you is because you have that knowledge, and while you don't apply it all the time because you get pizza all the time or like Chipotle or whatever, like you know the knowledge, so it's like if you really wanted to lean out, you probably wouldn't actually have to track, and you could just make better decisions and make that happen.
100% I know that. Yeah. Yes, I 100% agree with that. And so it's like, that's the thing, is like, I'm not at a point right now where I like, care enough, you know? Like,
do you, is that like, are you okay with that? Or does that kind of like bother you at all?
No, I'm okay with it. Because like, again, my life isn't, not to say defined, but I'm not in the fitness space, but it's not because I'm super fit or it's not because I'm super shredded. How about that? Like, I'm a regular guy who's living a regular life, who has made it a priority to pursue fitness within my regular life, not for it to become every part of me. And so because of that, I do feel like totally fine. Which is funny because we were talking about your 20.4 video and how you decided to film me. And I was like, a couple days after you posted, I'm like, I'm going to look at the comments just to see. And the first comment I read is like, man, I haven't seen John in a while. He's definitely put some cushion around his belly. And I was like, what? Like, I agree, but what? But then,
leave me alone.
Yeah, but then all the other ones were like, man, Jean got thick with 2 C's, And then, like, someone else was like, I love that body type. Or someone else was like, man, Jean with that power belly, love that body type. And there were, like, so many, like, man, Jean's looking good, blah,
There were
blah.
no super negative ones. It was just, you got a little bit fluffy, but it wasn't mean.
Yeah.
At least I didn't read it as that.
I didn't read any of them as mean either. And for me, it's just kind of like, yeah, because, like, I am enjoying life, but I'm also making fitness, being relatively fit, a priority, and so that's why I think I'm trying to make myself care about something that I feel like people expect me to care about. But I don't.
And that's just your personality too. Like, if you have any inclination that someone is expecting you to do X, Y, or Z, you're going to do A, B, C.
Yeah, I'm going to rebel 100%.
And I think like when you put something out there,
even I will rebel against myself.
Yep.
I will be like, here's my rule. Oh, great, a new rule to rebel against.
And that rule is always, I'm not going to get as much Chipotle, and the rebel is getting more Chipotle. Yeah. Like, you made a rule, I swear, you made a rule one time where it was like no more Chipotle or only once a week, and then you ended up going every day that week or something like that, because you're like, no, I don't listen to rules, I break rules.
I do. I really do break rules a lot. I don't know. It's my Enneagram 4. And I was also I read this book once. What was it called? The 4 Tendencies?
That sounds right.
Yeah, and there's like, it's like there's the rebel, there's 3 other, I don't remember, but I was the rebel. And it's like as soon as a rule is placed against me, even if it's myself, it now becomes my goal to like rebel against that rule.
It's like that meme of the
self-sabotage.
The guy that's like standing with the gun behind someone, and it's standing behind himself. It's like me when I find the person that's been sabotaging my diet or spending all my money or something like that.
Or it's also like the guy who's riding the bike and then sticks the stick in his own wheel. Like, that's literally,
that's you.
Yeah, 100%.
You're like, the stick is Chipotle every time.
Yeah.
Just like every single time.
So I'm just like,
or Taco Bell.
I think I do have a new goal.
No, what's your new goal?
But it's not a like you finish this by the end of the year goal.
Okay.
It's kind of more to deal with like the other subject we wanted to talk about. Good transition.
Yeah, what's the
Ready to
subject
go?
we wanted to talk about?
And that is like, I want to become the best I can be.
I want to be
the very best
best.
that like no one ever was. To catch them
Is my great test.
and to train them.
Is my cause.
Pokemon. But I will travel. I'm just kidding.
Everyone's turned it off by now, anyways.
Or they've started singing along. I'm reading this book, and by reading I mean audiobooking. Because that's my jam.
That's cheating, okay?
No, that's my jam.
For me,
audiobooks are my jam.
Audiobooks
I'll put it in. I will literally put it in my ears, like AirPod, or like when I'm like driving, I'll have it on. If it's a book I like. The last book I was reading was that Digital Minimalism, and I literally haven't listened to an audiobook for like 4 months because I just didn't like that book.
And then it like turned you off to them?
Yeah.
So, okay, I have a question. So when you are listening to an audiobook, like I like to underline things. And I think for me, like on an actual book, and I think for me the reason I like doing that is because it helps me stay engaged. Like if I underline something on each page or every other page or whatever, like I feel like I'm actually paying attention.
Yeah.
I felt like when I would listen to audiobooks, most of the time it was in the car. I can't do like, some people can do it when they're working out. I can't do that. I don't know how people do that. I cannot do that.
No.
But like I would be focused on other things. And
Yeah.
so I'd like, a chapter would go by and I would literally be like, what was that chapter about? Like, that's the only reason I haven't, like, audiobooks I think would be cool for like fiction and stuff that's like a cool story. But like if it's like a self-help book or like something that's really like I'm trying to understand or like help me, I think it'd be hard.
Yeah. I don't have an answer for you.
Okay,
Because
I was just
there are
curious.
things that like definitely slip, but that my notes section becomes very like, I'll put the subject of the book, and then I'll put the book title or whatever, and then I'll like, if something while I'm listening
You're like,
sticks
I like
out to
that
me,
line. Yeah.
then I'll write it in the notes section, and that kind of becomes like my underline. And I even have, if there's an audiobook I really like, I'll just buy the physical book. There's a quote I heard once when it comes to reading, and it was like, read a lot of books, quit most of them, read the good ones twice. And it's this idea of like, just keep reading, and if you don't like the book, don't feel bad quitting it.
Yeah,
you
there's
know?
been a couple that I've quit and I'm just like, I feel so bad. But
Yeah,
it's like,
like,
I would read a page and want to fall asleep.
Yeah, so read a lot of books, quit most of them, read the good ones twice, because there's a reason it was good to you. It was speaking to you in that moment that you needed to listen to it or read it. And so that's kind of what I'll do is like the notes section. But the one I'm doing right now, which ironically is the same author as the book I couldn't stand, Cal Newport. He wrote Digital Minimalism.
He's never coming on the podcast now.
Well, I don't know if we want to talk about anything else other than digital minimalism. But he's reading a book, or I'm listening to his book right now called So Good You Can't Be Ignored. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And I'm just looking it up. I'm so sorry for this delay in the
quite
game.
Embarrassing.
So good they can't ignore you.
Why gotta be so good that they can't ignore you?
Yeah. Why skills trump passion in the quest for work you love.
Why skills trump passion
In the quest
for work you love.
So, and basically I want to be the best video filmer, editor, videographer. I want to get sick angles, dude. I want to get like nice composition. I want my shots to look good. I want people to look at my edits and not be like, wow, that's an amazing editor, because then you've defeated the purpose of an editor.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be very seamless. But
Just think, that was a great video.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so whether it's with CrossFit Darkside, which is why I've been putting a lot of like care into those like training videos we've been doing, or it's with the church I work at, or it's my own videos, like I want to become really good where people cannot deny that I'm good at video. And that is kind of
That's your passion right now.
Exactly. But passion is an interesting word to use, because what this book is talking about is how we're always looking for our passion job. We're looking for that job that when we work it, it's like you never work another day in your life.
Yeah, that's it.
And if you look in the self-help, this is what this book is talking about. If you look in the self-help section or the career section, it's all nice cover up there.
Yeah.
His shorts are getting a little short, so he put a throw pillow over his lap.
I don't want people to see the giblets, bro. Okay,
my giblets are dangling in the water.
I'm not trying to get them thirst angles.
But it's all about like find the job you're passionate about, find the cash in on your passion. All this, like, that's what all these books are talking about. And so he calls it the passion hypothesis, I think. But it's just this idea that like everyone's looking for the job they're passionate about. But then when you start like interviewing the people who have the jobs that everyone says, wow, they're passionate about their job, you realize that they kind of fell into it. It was something they were good at. It was something that's
exactly what happened to me.
Exactly. And then we'll get into your story, but the story he talks about is Steve Jobs and how he's this visionary, this absolute legend when it comes to computing and computer engineering and what the body wants, blah, blah, or not the body wants, but I mean, maybe he was good at that. I don't know.
That's another podcast.
That's a completely different. That's our other podcast, What the Body Wants. But he was studying like Zen and like Eastern meditation and like kind of doing all this stuff. And then him and Steve Wozniak were like, hey, we got an easy way we can make a quick buck. And they created this like computer board that then they sold it to this company. And the company was like, we don't want the board, we want the whole computer. So then they like created a computer, and then that was the Apple computer. And then they can, you know what I mean? And like, it literally was like oh, well, we have this hobby on the side, but we're doing this hobby so that I can fuel my passion. And it turned out that this hobby ended up becoming the big thing. And only a few months before Apple was created, Steve Jobs was on this like quest for Zen, right? Like that was not his. If he had his way, he'd become this teacher at this monk or this monastery or whatever. And he was like, more often than not, all the successful people, all the passionate people have fallen in love with what they were really good at. And so for me, it's like, it's not a work for change, finish strong, though I do want to find one. And it might be reading. I might just steal yours, you know?
See how it is.
Until the end of the year. But like the big one is I want to become really good at video.
Well, I mean, you can make that a thing. You can be like, I'm going to and it might like, I get that it's video, but you could force yourself to make something every day.
Well, there has been discussions within the Glaude family about Vlogmas.
Yeah.
Between Sam and I.
Yeah, I was like, not with me.
No.
But I mean, okay, yeah, that's fine. But it's like, that's a big undertaking.
That is huge.
And so, you know, whatever. That's, if you want to do that, go for it. But I was thinking like it could even be something simple, like an Instagram post or like
remember my Instagram post of 20.4 where I it's the slider, and when you slid over, it was like the big thing.
Yeah.
And then inside that was another video that was kind of like stuff like that, where it's like the easy thing to do would be to post this video on Instagram. What's one step further I could do that just separates this video just a little bit more? Something like that.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about? Yeah.
Or it could even be like a little picture or like whatever. You know what I mean? Just like making something every day. That could be it.
That could be a good one.
You know, you don't have to do that. But so when you say that it really.
Yeah, let's talk about. So how does that you don't find your passion. Your passion
kind of found me.
Kind of. You
and
worked really hard at something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then by becoming good at it,
yeah,
you became passionate about it. How does that?
So like for me, it's like weight loss, but like helping people in a very realistic way. You know what I mean? Like that's my passion, is helping people lose weight. And like my favorite messages are when I get people that like message me that they have tried to lose weight a ton of times, and then they like started watching my stuff, and they like, you know, they'll use maybe like the word really relatable or down to earth, you know what I mean, to explain how I've helped them. Because a lot of people, you know, with weight loss, it's all or nothing, do keto, do this, do that, do these crazy diets that are like super hard to maintain. While they'll work, it's like, I don't feel like I'm living my life anymore, right? Like that's what happens with a lot of people that do those diets. And so like I love helping people in a very realistic and down to earth way. And that I never thought that would be my passion. Like growing up, my first passion was skateboarding. I never was good.
Yeah.
I never could learn anything past like an ollie and a shove it. And like, but I skated. I tried my butt off. Like I would be practicing for hours, and I was just never good. And I remember Mom would get sad because she knew it was because of how big I was. that's like a big reason why I wasn't able to get very good. And then another reason I know is I'm just kind of like a scaredy cat. So I was like afraid to do stuff, which if you're skating, you kind of have to be fearless. And I'm not that. And so I never got good at that. Then drumming became a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
And that almost...
You were good at that.
Yeah, that almost falls into that. Almost. Drumming is certainly a big part of my life still. And like, you know, I play every few weeks at the church and stuff like that. It's certainly a big part of my life, but it doesn't feel like that's where I need to be. Mm-hmm. But it makes sense. Like what you were saying works for that too, because I got good at drums very fast, and I'm not a cocky person, but like, I don't know, I got very good very fast.
Well,
I was able to pick them up. I never got a real lesson. I learned from YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like, and just listening to songs and trying to play along with them.
But then think about me and acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Like, we went to the same class.
Yeah.
And I just like, oh, I get this. This makes sense to me. And within that year, I was leading that class, which is insane and doesn't say anything about me. It says how poor the structure was.
Yeah.
But I did catch on really quick. Mm-hmm. And here I am, literally 14, 15 years later, and I am where I am today because of my ability to play guitar and sing. Mm-hmm. Like, and that was just something, it wasn't like, I wasn't like this, like, wow, you're a really artsy person. How about you pick up guitar? Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, I'm good at this. I like this. And then where that brought me.
Yeah. And so for drums, like that was kind of how it was. I got good, like I got okay pretty fast. Like, you know, I was a month in as good as some people are after a year. You know what I mean? So that was motivating to me because it was the first thing I was ever actually good at.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, I played football for years and I was good for a big kid, but I was never good. And then skateboarding and so, but then like when I fell into
it just feels good being good at something.
Yeah.
Like even in the most selfish way. And like, I'm just thinking, and again, I'm not that far into the book, like really. Mm-hmm. But like just thinking about the amount of people you like who are so bent on like, I'm passionate about this. I want to make this my life, and they're not very good at it, or it's not their best thing, or it's not like, it is crazy how we have become so like, we believe that's what life is.
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, it is a slippery slope because like, you can get good at stuff. So like, I don't want it to come across as like, if you don't like do it and become like, if you're not a prodigy at it right away, you should quit. Like that's definitely not what I think.
But that's where like, it's almost like for me, it's like now it's like the pursuit of becoming better is addicting. Mm-hmm. You know, like the process of becoming better is like what I'm becoming passionate about.
Yeah.
If that makes, like, I don't know. I'm literally processing as I'm talking out loud. So don't.
Yeah. Well, okay. So like the reason that like when you started talking about that, it kind of like struck a chord with me was like with weight loss. Like I don't think it's weird to say someone's good at losing weight because I don't think it's a skill. Like I really don't. I think it's just a simple like equation. And I think that you can be disciplined, but that doesn't mean like I don't like when people they think that I'm special in any way because I lost weight. Because I'm like, it isn't like that, because no one thinks that of like people that have gained weight. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying like that become obese, but like people that were skinny and they put on size. Like most people aren't like, I wish I had the dedication. It's like, oh yeah, okay. You know, most of the time at least.
Yeah.
Especially in like a weight loss area, people don't care if someone's put on size, which I would arguably say is harder if you're trying to put on muscle. There's more things that go into it. But like, so I think that with weight loss, for me, it wasn't that I became like good at or passionate about losing weight, but I think for some reason when I was losing the weight, cause like I had tried to lose weight, obviously thousands and bajillions of times. Right. But I never saw any real progress. Like I wasn't the person that lost 70 pounds and gained it back. Like I've never put on a significant amount of weight since losing my weight. Mm-hmm. And for me, like I think the passion came in realizing that I was going to lose all the weight. Like there was definitely a time in my weight loss where I was like, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to lose all of it. Now looking back, I think I definitely know that I wasn't doing everything perfectly, and there was definitely a chance of me like really backsliding quite a bit and gaining a lot of weight back because I wasn't doing things in the healthiest way. But like, I think where I feel like why I feel so strongly about what I do and why I feel so passionate about it is because the amount of people I've been able to reach through it, and the fact that it has become something that I think I'm okay. I don't think I'm like the best in the world, but I don't know. I'm not a braggadocious kind of person, I guess. Yeah. And so I mean, when you said that, it struck me because I like the reason that it struck me was I fell into it, right? And that's kind of what you were saying, like with Steve Jobs, he fell into it. I really do think I fell into this. Like, everything started taking off for me when that loose skin video went viral.
What's crazy is like then the book brings it up, like Steve Jobs has this commencement speech on YouTube that has millions upon millions of views. And the whole thing is, don't settle for a regular job, pursue your passions, pursue your dreams. And it's like, that is so like shiny and attractive, but like even he didn't do that. Like, like we're like, it's so sold to us. Find the thing you care about and then relentlessly pursue that. And anything short of that is selling out. How dare you work a 9 to 5? How dare you work a cubicle? How dare you? But it's like, if you're just crushing numbers, like if you just like accounting and that just like, you are good at that, like, good. Don't feel any less. Like, don't feel any less about yourself because everyone else is saying, wow, like the cubicle is death. Like, no, like if you enjoy that community of people and if you are crushing whatever, like some people, like a common cubicle job is like university admission, right? Where you're calling people and saying, hey, are you interested in going to college? Like whatever. But if you just enjoy that challenge of like totally someone who had zero interest in going to college and now you've gotten them to sign up, like good, use that, like if you're good at that, use that,
and it makes sense. Cause I mean, if you think about it, like we have all these jobs, we need people that care about those jobs to work those jobs.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like not everyone's
we can't all be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And like I used to it's like the entrepreneur YouTuber is like a huge thing right now with Gary Vee and other people who are exactly want that. And it's like totally like the do it yourself, be your own boss, rule your own life, like that's like super in right now. But I think it's to the expense of realizing like I love Ben from Wad Prep. 100% think he's a great person and I really admire him. We're just wired differently. And that's not a bad thing. Like he's constantly on the look for videographers, like there's skills needed that each person
yeah, exactly. And you could be that person, right? Like that's where your passion lies.
But I'm not in Denver.
Oh yeah, I know. But I'm just saying like that he needs what you do and you need someone that does that because then you need to get hired.
Exactly.
At some point.
Exactly.
But yeah. Awesome, man.
I don't know. And then I think like this kind of ties into I think at the very end, if we're going to tie it all together, like the loose ends, the same thing goes when you're trying to find your passion. I think you could just substitute that word for motivation. A lot of people think that it starts with motivation, then it becomes action, then it becomes results. And like, it's not a line. And I was just watching something. I don't know what it was, but they think it's this line, this linear progression of...
You need this, and then you take another step, and you get this, and you take another step, and you get this, and then you reach the top.
Yeah, but it's not. It's a circle. And it's like, sometimes motivation happens because you took action in something. And then you took action, and because you took action, you saw a result. And that result motivated you. That motivation caused you to do an action, which then you saw the result. Or you started the result in. Let's just say someone gave you $1,000. Boom, a result. You didn't work for that at all. But because you got $1,000, you're like, you know what? I've really been meaning to take this course. And so that result, that $1,000 gave you the motivation to make a result, and so it's like it's a cyclical movement and pattern that each one gives energy to the next one.
And, without a doubt. And like when it comes to like fitness and stuff, that's like one of the questions I get tons of is like, how do I find motivation? And it's like, maybe
you find
maybe
it
you
in the gym.
Maybe you don't need to find it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe you need to just go to the gym.
Yeah.
And then maybe you go to the gym and you do a workout and it's super awkward, but then you leave and you're like, I feel really good.
Mm-hmm.
The result, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I kind of want that to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're motivated to go to the gym again. Like,
Yeah.
you're not always going to want to go to the gym. You're not always going to want to eat healthy, as Jean shows us every week. But
every day.
every day. If you end up like seeing the results of your labors, that could be the motivation, and then it starts from there. Everyone thinks you need to be super motivated to start things, especially I think with weight loss and massive weight loss. That's because you do get that. You get super motivated at sometimes. Mm-hmm. And when like maybe something happens, or you're like, you find a new diet and you're like, I'm going to do this. Like, you go from eating everything in the world and chips and diet and sodas and everything to being like, oh, I'm going to cut out everything and eat super clean. That's fun for a little bit. It really is, right? Yeah. Like, it's fun to really overhaul your diet. But eventually when life kicks you in the butt, you're like, I want to go back to this.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like against the overly intense things.
I used to work at a fitness company, mm-hmm. and every time there was birthdays, we'd bring cake. Like, we celebrated each other's birthday. Like, we celebrated life with each other, and it was fun. And there were so many people who would not eat the cake. They mm-hmm. would not do it. And so we're all like in the kitchen, and they're just like hands crossed, not eating it. And it's just kind of like this, like, there's an element where like life happens, mm-hmm. Like. And, like, for some people, like, again, there are times when you don't do it. But when you can't celebrate with someone, or when you can't because we're so restricted against it, I think there comes a time when it's like, I don't know, balance. I would eat their cake.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
You'd probably eat the most cake.
That was the running joke. Yeah.
Okay.
I just couldn't keep it to one slice.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, bro.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.